안녕하세요, 여러분.
I couldn't do it.
I was a little scared about some things that I could not because I understood everything.
Sometimes I feel really dumb. 안녕하세요, 안녕하세요. It's Natalia, and can you guys believe it? I have officially been learning Korean for 7 years now. Like 2023, this year is going to be my 8th year learning Korean. This time, 7 years ago, baby Natalia, was trying to figure out how to use a verb in a sentence. I remember thinking at the time, like, am I ever going to be able to learn Korean? Am I ever going to be able to speak Korean? And here we are. But yeah, so much, I feel like, okay, I'm sorry. Anyway, hi. So if you don't know me or my background, please allow me to give you some context, some information. So back in January of 2016, so 7 years ago, I started learning Korean because I was accepted to an internship study abroad program here in South Korea. And at the time, I didn't know any Korean. Like, I knew a few random words from K-pop and K-dramas, but not enough for me personally to feel comfortable coming to Korea. So I started learning Korean, and basically since then I have studied Korean in so many different ways. I've self-studied, I have taken classes as an exchange student, I have taken italki classes, I have now even attended and graduated Korean language school. I think we can jump into actually discussing how each of my language skills, so speaking, listening, writing, reading, have improved. Let's start off with a skill that when at high intermediate, low advanced enables you to watch TV, listen to music, makes up like half the battle when having a conversation in your target language. So since my last progress update, or basically since I moved to Korea and took intensive Korean language classes 5 times a week, 4 hours a day, my listening skills have improved a lot. Like they've improved tremendously, as you guys probably guessed. Not only have I been living here in Korea where pretty much everyone around me speaks like fluent Korean almost all the time, but like I just said, I was taking intensive Korean classes that were taught in full Korean. So basically I was in the perfect environment, or I guess technically am still in the perfect environment for my listening skills to really flourish and improve. I know in my last progress update I was in between high intermediate, low advanced, and I remember mentioning that I was so excited because at that time I had just realized that I was able to understand a good percentage of what was going on in K-dramas just from listening, like no looking at what was on screen, just like listening to the characters talk and know what was going on. Now that my listening skills have improved so much more over the past year and a half, I can understand so much more of like what's going on in K-dramas. I'm not gonna put a percentage of like how much of a K-drama I can understand. I feel like that's not very useful information at this point because it's just guesswork, and to be honest it's probably gonna be extremely inaccurate and dependent on what type of drama I'm talking about or watching. Now I'm not gonna lie to you and say that I understand everything in every single scene of a K-drama or in every segment of a news broadcast or every part of a documentary or something, because that would be a blatant lie. As I mentioned in one of my videos, or probably several of my videos when I was in the research class, like the native content that we were using was extremely challenging. The documentaries we were watching, the recorded Korean college level lectures we were watching were difficult. There were plenty of times where I was like a deer in the headlights, just like, what? Like, what is going on? So the next thing I'm going to talk about in regard to my listening skills is more for me so I can remember it down the road and remember how proud of myself I was. If you watched the video where I talked about the fact that I was the dumbest student in that class, and by dumbest I simply mean the lowest level, like in terms of fluency. I remember in Yongguban, because I needed to fail it the first time I took it, which again, you can watch the vlogs from back then for context. I did not study for my midterms. I basically just took them to make my teachers happy. I just kind of went in, did the exam, didn't think too much of it, right? Because I didn't study for it. So I had no opinions about like the rigor of the exam. And then found out that I made a high B. I was so proud of myself. Like, I know that might sound weird because I was talking about how I didn't study, but when I first started in language school in level 5, the first time I took a listening midterm, I didn't do that great. And that's with me putting my heart and soul into it, okay? I did not perform that well. So going from having to study significantly for listening exams, having to listen to dialogues, go through the transcripts, listening over and over until I could hear every single word that appeared in a dialogue, being very meticulous about practicing my listening skills, to being able to walk into the midterm for the highest level Korean class offered at Korea University and making a high B. It just made me feel really good. It made me realize like how much my Korean has improved, how much like I can understand. It was basically just a really big deal to me, especially because that research class, like as I mentioned earlier, was really hard for me. Like there was literally a time in class where I started tearing up because I misread a reading comprehension question and then could not understand my teacher's explanation of how I was actually supposed to read that question. Like it was basically like the last straw for my emotions because I'd never felt so dumb in my life. Exiting the part of this segment that is personally for me, one of the biggest weaknesses in my listening skills that I've noticed over the past few months is that I have a very difficult time understanding slurred Korean. And the main people that tend to slur their Korean together are my male friends. Like, and I say my male friends because this doesn't tend to happen with my female friends. I don't know if my female friends just tend to naturally like enunciate their words better, or maybe they're more considerate towards me and they like consider my level or my fluency before they speak, or maybe my Korean guy friends just think I'm a lot more fluent in Korean than I actually am. I don't know what's going on. But basically I have noticed that when I hang out with my Korean guy friends, there are a lot of instances where I quite literally have to look them dead in the eyes and be like, 뭐라고요? huh? 다시 한번. Like I literally will have to ask them to repeat themselves like 3 or 4 times before I understand what they just said. And it's not like, oh, they used some slang or oh, they used like a word I don't know. No, it's something really simple that my ears just did not understand. I would say that's my biggest weakness. I'm literally like looking at this lamp like it's one of my guy friends, like, ugh. That's literally my biggest weakness that I would like to improve on. Moving on to the skill that, while extremely necessary, is my least favorite to spend time improving. For this particular progress update, I'm only going to be talking about like my academic writing skills or my essay writing skills in Korean, because in my last progress update, I mentioned that I am extremely confident in my everyday writing skills, but my academic Korean writing is definitely something else. In all honesty, I don't think my academic Korean writing skills have actually improved that much since the last time I gave a Korean progress update, which I know sounds like confusing, shocking, and disappointing all at the same time, because you would have thought that I would say like, oh, my writing skills have improved so much, oh my goodness, right? Because I've literally completed language school. So let me explain why I feel like they haven't really improved that much. During my first semester in Korean language school, so when I was taking that academic version of level 5 or advanced 1, I felt like my writing skills improved a lot. Like a lot. We were learning different ways to express ideas in formal Korean writing. We were learning how to make like compound sentences for writing. We were learning grammar structures that were only used in writing. We did so many essays. We did so many presentations that required you to first write a script in Korean. We did a lot of writing. Like that academic course was meant to prepare students to go into university or graduate school here in Korea. However, when I went into level 6, we didn't really do that much writing, and to be honest, we didn't do that many presentations either. Like we did, but not a lot compared to how many we did in level 5. With that being said, more emphasis was placed on helping students improve their debate and discussion skills rather than improving their writing skills, which is great. Like I'm not super concerned about my writing skills. However, when I went into 연구반, my skills kind of like went do. The research classes like level 6 were focused on improving a student's like debate skills, expressing your thoughts on complex topics, because that content, basically the native material that we were working with, because in the research class, the only thing you work with is native material. When I realized that, oh, 1, I need to fail. 2, this course is so hard for me, like I'm struggling in class, I came to realize I only had a certain number of hours per day or per week, if you will, to put into this class. So I'm going to spend that time working on like understanding what's going on in class, work on my speaking skills, work on my debate skills. I prioritized not feeling dumb in class over writing essays. This has nothing to do like with the course. Obviously, that is all on me for not having done the essays. You can judge me on that if you want to, like, go for it, but I regret nothing. I know where my priorities were, and if I had to go back in time, I would do the exact same thing. And now, like, being done with language school, like, yes, I would like to get my writing or essay writing skills back to where they were a year ago now at this point, right? But it's not really a big priority for me. Moving on to speaking are the skill that enables you to build meaningful connections and relationships with the people around you. Bruh. My speaking skills have improved so much over the past year and a half. So as I mentioned a moment ago, one of the main focuses, if not the main focus, of a lot of the courses that I took while in language school was to improve one's ability to speak. My speaking skills have improved tremendously compared to where they were when I made my last Korean progress update. I not only speak a lot faster, but I also speak in longer sentences, and I feel like I don't really think before I start speaking anymore. I don't really know if I was doing that when I made my last progress update, but if I was, I'm definitely not doing it now. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say like, oh my gosh, my Korean is so good, like I sound like a native speaker now or something like that, because that's just not true. That would be a lie. I definitely stumble over my words. There are definitely times I have to restart my sentences. I still struggle to talk about advanced topics or to tell stories in Korean, which I know that sounds kind of weird, but if you think about it, when you are getting to know someone, right, you tend to tell each other stories about like yourself or your childhood or some experience, right? Which if you think about it is basically just a really long monologue. That is still very difficult for me to do. I really struggle to use advanced expressions when speaking Korean. When I was in language school, I would give presentations, and I kid you not, I would have a rubric. In every single category, I would get above average. Okay, the highest score that you can get. But when it came to using advanced level expressions, I would have a score that said average. Yeah, and while my italki teacher and I are currently working on, you know, getting me to use them, it's still something that I really struggle with. Moving on to reading, I feel like over the past year and a half, my reading skills have really shot through the roof. Like, they are probably the skill that has improved the most since my last Korean progress update. So while yes, if I don't know the vocab or I'm super unfamiliar with the vocab that makes up whatever like reading content I am reading, I won't know what's going on. That really doesn't tend to happen that often. Basically, I can read pretty much anything, and even when there are words I don't know, I'm able to pretty accurately guess what those words mean just based on the context. As I've mentioned in more of my recent videos, I'm able to read Korean news articles relatively easily. I'm even reading some Korean books right now without like lots of difficulty. Like, obviously, yes, I am learning new words and things like that, but it's not hard in regard to like it being way above my level or anything. It's more like, this is a new topic and I need to learn a few new words, but the book itself is at my level, if not just slightly above my level, which is like really exciting. In the research class that I took at KU, we were required to read novels as part of the coursework. My first semester, I chose a novel that was about a girl whose soul was separated from her body. That book, while interesting, was extremely difficult for me to read because of the adjectives that the author used. My second semester, I chose a book that was a lot easier for me. So I chose a book that was about a high schooler that got murdered, and now her best friend is considered the prime suspect in her murder case. If you guys know me, I am really interested in crime-related content. So when it came to reading this book, it was pretty easy for me because not only were there fewer adjectives, but when it came to like the law and crime related vocab, I kind of already knew it. Now you guys might actually be expecting me to now say something along the lines of, oh my goodness, I'm gonna focus on reading novels so I can expand my knowledge of Korean adjectives and fantasy words so that this type of like native Korean content isn't hard or challenging for me anymore. But no, I will not be doing that. I don't really read novels in English, so I don't see the point in trying to force myself to do something that I don't enjoy doing just for the purpose of expanding my knowledge of the Korean language. Because again, I only face that issue when I'm reading novels. It hasn't happened to me like out in the real world, navigating life in Korea. Like, well, yes, of course, it would be nice to know more vocabulary. It's not something that I seem to be needing or something that I personally want to do. So I'm not gonna force myself to do it. Now, having said that, there is one novel that I plan on reading because my good friend Sudin actually gifted me a novel for my birthday last month, and I have to read it, you know, because she gave it to me for my birthday. So if you see me reading that book later, I don't want you to call me out and be like, you said you weren't gonna read novels. This is me giving a disclaimer saying I'm gonna read that specific novel for my friend. And boom, that is my 7-year Korean language progress update. Maybe I'll see you this time next year for my 8th year progress update. Hopefully I will have so many good things to report to you. If you would like to hear what mistakes I made as an intermediate learner in Korean, you can check out this video. I'll see you guys in the next video. So, 다음에 봐요, guys. Bye.